All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Josie, and today we are going to be discussing talking to children and teens about sex. So let's get started with a case study. You are a parent, two kids, a teenage daughter, Sophia, and an elementary school age son, Theo. So both your kids attend a public school, and on the bus, the kids overheard some kids talking about sex. Kids don't have phones yet, but they are inquisitive to know all about this sex topic that they heard about. You decide to call your nurse friend and ask her how you should handle this topic and kind of what her response would be. So, what's the significance, anyways? Yes, it is awkward to talk about sex sometimes, but sex is a naturally occurring phenomenon, and we really have the opportunity to create this safe space that our kids can engage with us and come to us for advice. Beliefs about sex might also be different from one person to another. Religion plays a role, culture plays a role, gender plays a role, lots of things play a role. And you as a parent can really kind of go about having this conversation in a way that you would like them to be exposed um, to the content of sex, kind of at how you would do it. Talking about vulnerable topics while growing up is also one of the key elements for strong relationships in the future and overall life satisfaction. And we really want our kids to be happy and satisfied in their future and in their future relationships. Limiting or shame-filled communication around sex from parenting also has a really detrimental impact on the way children and teens make decisions regarding sex and their overall sexual satisfaction. Typically, those decisions are negative, they're poor, and then their sexual satisfaction is just decreased compared to other people. So, risks of not having these conversations. So, teen pregnancy is one of them. There's some stats there. Engaging in risky and sexual behaviors, more information. Google and social media isn't the best teacher. Trauma, and then shame and guilt. So all of these are risks of not having conversations about sex with your teen or your child. Can have really lasting and detrimental impacts. So, how might a family's interaction and like parenting style play a role in this topic of sex talk? So I want you to pause the video and think through what was your what was your parents' parenting style growing up, and how did that impact your sex education? And does it kind of match the impact that I have listed here? So go ahead, pause the video. All right, now that you're back, authoritarian, um, highly structured, high rules, high chance of having sex to rebel in those teens. They also might engage in riskier behaviors. Authoritative, however, the warmth, support, boundaries that are firm yet they're gentle. This opens up doors for discussions about sex and relationships, and really lets the child in the relationship ask for parental guidance in that parent-child relationship. Permissive parents prioritize autonomy, and they have minimal rules and expectations, which can lead to early sexual initiation, as well as risky sexual behaviors and making those. And then the uninvolved and neglectful parent, this is actually the most harmful for a child's sexual development. These parents often provide little to no guidance or support. There's no structures, no rules, disengaged, little emotional involvement. So this predisposes teens specifically to have a high likelihood to engage in risky sexual behaviors. And this is to try and establish emotional connections that they're so longing for from their parents. And they want to feel that validation. And they think the answer to that is going to be through sex, unfortunately. So, what topics might be important for parents to consider when providing comprehensive sex education? So this is not an all-inclusive kind of diagram. However, it's going to provide a really good framework to get parents thinking about what kinds of things they might talk about. So, meaning of sex for self and for a partner. Well, why might a person want to have sex? And really identifying why the individual wants to have sex, and also understanding why another person might want to have sex and how that might be a little bit different depending on the context. Consent and respect, and the fact that it's okay to say no. So consent is a really big deal because sex is such an intimate um, thing that occurs between people. and really understanding that at the end of the day, a person's body is their body. One of the ways parents can actually model this concept to their children is with hugs. So instead of just going and giving your kid a hug, you can say, "Hey, I am noticing that you look sad. Can I give you a hug?" And waiting for their response before you embrace them. And a lot of times they probably say yes. Gender and sexual identities is another topic. It's really important for parents, even if they don't necessarily agree, to really help their kids get a solid understanding of different gender identities and different sexual identities that might be out there, that even the kid might be identifying with, and really coming from that of a perspective of love and understanding, rather than just shutting that conversation down entirely because of beliefs. Preventative healthcare, and then as well as STI prevention and why we stay in monogamous relationships. So preventative healthcare, kind of screening if you are deciding to have sex, would you need STI prevention? How do we prevent you from getting these sort of diseases? And then monogamous relationship, you are with your partner, so you kind of know about the disease, and if they're with someone else, they might contract a disease and then give it to you. So that's the importance of monogamy in a relationship. Contraceptive options, as well as the result of not using or like failure of contraceptives. So helping them understand what are their options for contraception. Um, how do we prevent pregnancy if you are choosing to have sex? And then, helping them understand it's not always effective, and it might result in a pregnancy, especially if they're using some methods such as like the pull-out method. That's not 100% effective and can really lead to pregnancy. And then intimacy and healthy relationships. What does it mean to be in a healthy relationship? What does it mean to be like emotionally intimate with someone and not just physically intimate with them? Really helping them grasp some of those concepts. Another one not mentioned on here is the concept of anatomy, helping them really properly name parts of their body, helping them understand what parts of their body do and why they're there. Um, and just overall having an open mind when it comes to the anatomy of the human body. So, what are some of the common reasons parents might avoid talking about sex with their children? I want you to pause again this video and come up with a couple on your own. All right. So, the first one from research is lack of experience. And to this, I would say, healthcare providers are really one of your top resources for providing education and you getting that education. We go through extensive training as healthcare providers, and we can refer you to a lot of programs and resources and really help set you on the guidelines and trajectory for being able to teach your kids about sex and getting you that experience for teaching them about sex. I'm assuming that the conversation will naturally occur later in life. Research shows that it's really never too early to help a child understand sex, although it might look different depending on the child's age and what their developmental needs are. And then personal feelings of shame and guilt, as well as discomfort. Well, not all discomfort will go away or might not go away, and that's normal. But being upfront with your child can alleviate anxieties. It can create a transparent relationship and create a little bit of vulnerability and honesty between both parties. And then again, the more we talk about it, the less uncomfortable it'll get. Then talking might lead to mixed messaging or defiance. This one's a little bit harder because at the end of the day, it really comes down to the kid. But kids and teens really are capable of making decisions and understanding consequences for themselves. So as the parent, even though you might say like, oh well, they might just think it's okay for them to have sex if I'm telling them this. It's like, well, yeah, you might be saying here's your information about sex, but don't have it. But like at the end of the day, also too, don't provide an education, end up with an STI or unwanted pregnancy, and like you have to think about risks versus benefits. So this is a chart kind of adapted from the Bright Futures recommendations for sexual developmental education. Take a quick minute to pause and look over this and see what you might do for each age group and how you might navigate that as a parent, and as you think about going forward in life. What can I take with me of this information into the future? So go ahead, pause and read over that. All right, so overall recommendations that I have found from research based on how do you talk about this topic. Shouldn't be one and done, should be an open and ongoing conversation, even into emerging adulthood. If you're uncomfortable, try having conversations in the car or limiting eye contact. Yes, for communication, it's not necessarily the best to limit that eye contact, but it can help just let you provide the actual honest answer without staring them directly into their eyes. And that creates a little bit of awkwardness. Sharing factual information, not sharing myths or um, incorrect information to your kid is really important as well. Coming from a non-judgmental angle, this can lead to ineffective communication and can create tension and strife in relationships and really be damaging and detrimental. And then be real, be prepared to support them. Use accredited sources, start them young, sort out factual information versus false info, and then educate them regarding potential consequences of decisions involving sex. So back to the case study, I'll leave you on this note. With the information that you have gotten now from your nurse friend, how might you as a parent handle this situation and really reflect on that? Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you got something out of it. And here are the references. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and have a great rest of your semester as well.